Hey guys, Anamortis here. Okay, hasn't been that long since my last video, at least relatively speaking. I know I mentioned that I had really wanted to get Fedora up and running on a Bootstrap installation, and I was having a lot of trouble with Grub. But after some experimentation and research, I think I figured it out. So it is with much pleasure I bring to you a non-Debian distro um, installation video, and well, other than I guess FreeBSD. But yeah, so Fedora was second distro I really ever got into. Um, Back in the aughts, the 2000s, it was just really interesting to me. It really let me customize, and I learned a lot about Linux from it. I know it's very popular today, and it's not Debian at all. It runs on RPM files instead of Debian files, and has just been the foundation of a lot of operating systems. So I'm going to just go ahead and bring on up the terminal and get started. So first things first, let me zoom in a little bit here, make this text a little bigger for you. We'll do a sudo su minus just like we always do. Now, Fedora has SELinux on it installed by default. Most Linuxes now seem to prefer AppArmor. I'm no expert. I cannot tell you the difference. But I know SELinux is pretty limiting, so we're going to turn it off. So we'll do set enforce 0 just to make sure that is not going to get in our way or prevent us from doing anything that we need to install the operating system. Anaconda is the graphical user installation program for Fedora. It is, I do not know what it does with SELinux. It probably has an option to turn it down automatically just because SELinux on its defaults is very restrictive. So now that we have everything lined up, I'm going to just do an lsblk. Here in my virtual environment is the VDA. That's my hard drive. Everything else is CD-ROM, live CD related, so we're not worried about those. We're worried about VDA or SDA or NVMe1 or whatever the heck that's called for your hard drive. You can tell because it matches the size of your hard drive over here in this column. So first things first, we're going to partition dev fdisk. We'll do G. This is going to all seem familiar. Oh, and this is Fedora 36, by the way, which just came out a few weeks ago. So I'm really proud to be able to use this new version as well. So anyway, G for GPT label. Then we are going to do N. We need 3 partitions here. I'm just going to do the basic. I'm not doing butterfuss or anything like that. Go back to my Debian videos. It's set up essentially the same way. There's only a handful of different commands that we're going to do here in Fedora that we don't see in Debian. All right, so first sector, default. Last sector, we're going to do a +512 and an M for megabyte. This is going to be our EFI partition. T for type. Then we'll just do 1 that automatically defaults it to EFI. New, this is going to be our swap for partition defaults down to last sector. And then we're going to make this our swap space, which should be equal to or twice the size of, depending on how much you have, of your RAM. So I'm going to do 12 gigabytes. Then T for type, default for 2. 19 is Linux swap, and we'll just change that to a swap space. And then just N, and then we default all the way down, and then W to write. So now if I do an lsblk, you can see VDA has been partitioned in 3 different segments. So next up, we need to mount the space for things to be written. We're going to mount our root folder. So we'll go dev VDA3, which was, if you recall, our third partition. Oh, actually, my apologies. We need to make file systems. So first one, we'll do dev VDA1, which is going to be VFAT. VFAT is the EFI partition file system requirement. So go ahead, do that. EFI will not work otherwise. Then we'll do a make swap dev VDA2, that is now swap space. And then finally, we'll just do ext4 for dev VDA3. ext4 is still great. Still getting updates in the kernel. So, you know, if you don't feel like anything exotic like XSFS or Butterfuss or anything else, go ahead and use ext4. It works really well. Now we need to mount those partitions, as I had mentioned previously. Dev VDA3, and we're going to put that to MNT, and that's going to be where we're going to install everything. Now we need to make an EFI folder. So we'll do make dir-p for a path, MNT, boot, EFI. So now that we got that done, and then we'll mount dev VDA1 to mount boot EFI. Okay. Next up, we need to install and download the Fedora system into our new hard drive. So we will do DNF. This is the bootstrapping process. Release ver equals 36. You can do any other release version if you want. 36 is the latest and currently supported, at least at the time of this video. So if it is not anymore, move to 37 or 40 or I don't know, whatever. So then install root to make sure it points to the right directory. It doesn't install just to the live CD /mnt. Then group install. Fedora uses groups to do all of its software, and then we'll do group install core. So let's just go ahead, hit enter, and let it do its thing. Y for yes, and we'll just let it run its course. Okay, and now that we have that downloaded and installed, we have everything to our hard drive, and we're good to go. Next up, this is going to seem familiar from my other videos, and I got this from the Void Linux guide. I really appreciate the work they did to really help me get these going. So for dir insysdec proc do mount rbind /$dir, and this just associates this associates our hardware with our new system so that it can access it, even though it's not technically booted. Make --mount make our slave dir done. Okay, and you shouldn't get any messages back if you did that correctly. And then we need to just now here's something Fedora does a little bit different. It includes its own resolve.conf file, which is not going to work. So we're going to remove the default one first. It's a symbolic link. So rm mnt etc resolve conf and then y to remove it. And then we just copy our etc resolve.conf to mnt etc resolve.conf. Okay. That is incorrect. I just keep messing that up. You know what? Let's stop typing that. Yes. Okay. So we'll get that done. My apologies. All right. And then we will now, we set up the time zone a little differently in Fedora than we do than in the Debians. You can find your time zone list if we do ls user share zone info, and you can just go through, like, if I wanted to know where all the American cities are, here's all the time zones for that. So now we're going to do this with a systemd first boot command. Root equals /mnt time zone. I'm on the Eastern Seaboard, so America /new_York works great. Hostname equals, and from here we can set our hostname. I'll set it to Fstab, and then --setup machine-id. All right, we got that done. Now we can Chroot in. So let's Chroot into our new installation. So we do Chroot mnt bin bash. So now we're in. We are at our hard drive. We need to install our language. So first things first, do a DNF refresh. Oh, that's not a command, but what we will do is DNF install. I think this refreshes automatically. Glibc langpack en. for English language speakers. Give it a second. Push Y. It'll download that. That is complete. Now we do basically the same systemd command. First boot locale equals en_us.utf-8. You can see your languages. Oh, apparently that doesn't work on this. So we'll just move on. All right. My apologies there. Now we'll set our root password with the password command. Type our password. Now we need to do our Fstab configuration, same as anything else. Mounts. Then we need Fedora will set the permissions for Fstab. This Fstab file is being kind of weird, so we're going to do a chmod 744 etc Fstab. So now we can edit it. Then we will do a blkid and get our UUIDs for our hard drives. I am going to go over, I'm going to grab this one for my EFI partition. I'll do a vi etc fstab. I'm going to go ahead and do this first. We will delete the folder the dev reference because Linuxes have a habit of changing the dev reference all the time, so UUID is more reliable. And now we're going to just start deleting these extra lines out of here. We'll delete everything except the tempfs line below the dev. So here's tempfs. We'll just take this, delete all those, insert, and I'll do temp, and delete the rest. These are not important for an Fstab. Now we'll do VDA3, which is our hard drive. Just grab all that, copy, go back into Fstab, delete the dev VDA3 reference, insert, Control V, or Control Shift V. We'll get rid of the quotation marks, cannot use those. Shift ZZ to save, and then we need to make sure our swap partition's in there as well. So we'll go in, grab the UUID for the swap partition, which is on VDA2, the type, as mentioned, swap, and then we'll go back into Fstab, add an extra line, Control Shift V, paste, remove our quotations. Swap's pretty easy, so it's just swap, swap, defaults 00, Shift ZZ. So now we have Fstab created. Now we need to install the kernel, so that's our next major installation. Kernel, it's just DNF install kernel. DNF is the package manager if you haven't noticed. And then I'm going to use Vim because I like Vim too. Any other software you want to make sure is installed, go ahead and do that right now. We'll just line that up and hit Y. It's going to download for a bit, so this will take a minute, but we'll just give it some time. Now that we have the kernel installed, it is time to install Grub. So we're going to go ahead and get that process begun by running DNF. We're going to go DNF install grub2 EFI x64. We're going to add grub2 EFI x64 modules and shim. Then we're just going to click Y, let that run its course. Now the command to install Grub is going to be really quick. Just grub2 make config-o boot EFI, EFI Fedora, and then grub config. That's going to generate both Grub and the Grub menu. And then we just need to regenerate all of our hooks. Drakut's going to handle this for us, so Drakut regenerate all force. Now the important next thing to happen after we get Drakut completed is we need to turn off SELinux. SELinux by default is pretty proactive. I don't know if this is typical for Fedora. I don't use it enough. I suspect Anaconda lets you tone this down a little bit. But
I'm going to just go ahead and edit this so that way it is no longer really impacting our install and just kind of turn this down to passive by default. So we're going to go into vim/etc/sysconfig, and then we're going to go to SELinux. We're going to go down to the SELinux line, get rid of enforcing, and then we're going to type in permissive. Shift-CZ, save. And then we just need to turn on networking. So system control, enable NetworkManager. I'm no longer using DHCP-CD. NetworkManager is more modern. And then that's it. We can go ahead and reboot.
There we are, booted straight to the command line for Fedora 36. So just log in. If I can remember how to type. All right, there we are at the command line. Fstab, everything looks pretty good. You're probably going to want to set up additional users. You're going to want to install a graphical environment. The value Fedora offers on this, we can just do a user add. Well, first, let's install sudo. So let's put in sudo. Oh, it actually already included it as part of the base package, so we'll just do user add. I'm going to do -mg to modify group, make sure they're in a group. Wheel Aaron. That's just to make me, and then I'll give myself a password. Oh, that is incorrect. It's Control-C. Password Aaron. All right, now we'll just log out of that. Go back to Aaron. Sudo dnf install. Actually, I don't think I set up vi sudo correctly, so let's go back to root. I am just missing stuff. Then we go to vi sudo. Got to make sure that everything is... Oh, apparently in Fedora this is unchecked by default, so we're all good. So we'll go back to my main user. Now we will... let's see. Let's install search xorg. Let it refresh for a second. Hasn't ever refreshed before. The DNF's pretty great for this. Nice, fast, effective. And as you can see here, here's a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I'm not as good with Fedora as I am Debian, so I do apologize for this. See, we all got to learn somewhere. Okay, here we go. And let's pipe this to more so we can get a more complete list. I'm gonna do the... Let's do a basic desktop. So let's do... All right, and there you go. It's going to just download all this. We'll let this run its course. Okay, now we got XFCE installed. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure this installs LightDM. Just going to double check this. It is. So now we reboot. Go back to Fedora. Let it run its course. There we go. XFCE is installed, LightDM is set up, and now you have a fully functioning Fedora desktop system. You could use any other desktop environment you want. You could use just a straight-up window manager, anything that makes you feel better and makes you happy. This is a beautiful system. I don't know how to deal with these yet. I'm new to Fedora, but those are there, and we'll just figure it out. But yeah, no, you're good to go. Everything is installed. Let's see. Do we have very few accessories. This is a very basic system. It just has the basic XFCE stuff. So you're gonna probably want to take it to terminal. Sudo DNF install. I don't know. Let's see. I like the Epiphany browser. Oh. Don't have to have the browser part. Let's get a web browser in. Should be in pretty good shape. Let it run. Hit in there. Choose that as default. Yes. And yeah, so we are now a proud user of a fully bootstrapped, customized Fedora installation. So thanks guys for watching. That's the gist of this video. You know, go ahead and be prepared. I'm going to be working on next. I got inspired by this video to make a SUSE video. Finally got OpenSUSE, Tumbleweed, and Leap to install with this bootstrap method. So that's going to be my next video, and we will keep posted. Then I think I'm due for some stuff that people have already done. I would like to do Void Linux. I'm just a Void Linux fan, and then I'm trying to get Solus to work. It doesn't seem to really want to work this way though. We'll keep researching, and then maybe Arch Linux too, because I'm a big fan of community distros. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and happy hacking.